Hi, and welcome to Common Denominator, straight up conversations with me, Moshe Popak. This week, why 2022 is the year you finally launch your business. My guest is Samia Gore, the founder and CEO of Body Complete RX, and the first Black female founder to break significant ground in the male-dominated nutritional supplement industry. In August 2021, Gore launched her exclusive plant-based vegan supplements at the Vitamin Shoppe, making BCRX the first Black female-owned brand to launch in the retailer's weight management category. Samia will share her entrepreneurial journey and inspire you to finally go after your dream. Hi, Samia. Thanks for joining us, and welcome to Common Denominator.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate being on this, and I'm really excited to talk to you today.
Thank you. So tell us about Body Complete RX.
Sure. So Body Complete RX is a plant-based supplement company that I started in 2017. I started this company really just after my own lifestyle journey. I was looking to just really get back to myself after having 4 kids, and was working out in the gym and looking for supplements, clean supplements to use to help me on that journey. And when I couldn't find the supplements that I was looking for on the shelf, I went and found a nutritionist to work with, and we created the supplements ourselves. So we originally started in 2017 with weight management supplements that you just mentioned are at the Vitamin Shoppe. And since we have expanded to a full wellness brand. So we have everything from men and women's multivitamins to pre-workout to plant-based protein. So we're all about health and wellness. And we're not only just a supplement, but we're also a community with Body Complete RX.
Always the ultimate question is people want to know the how-to process. You realize that what you want is not there. So you have this idea in your mind. What were some of the steps for the audience to actually go from the idea to getting, something in the Vitamin Shoppe?
Well, there was a lot of steps.
Right.
It was definitely a journey. So in 2017, when I started, I had a social media following. I had been sharing up until that point my journey, like I said, to really get back to myself after having 4 children and going through that mommy life and just trying to be back to Samia and get fit and well again. So I was literally sharing my experiences on social media, sharing like I was going to, the Vitamin Shoppe, and I was going to Whole Foods and buying proteins and pre-workouts. And I would share this with my audience just authentically, like, this is what I'm using this week. This is what I'm using this week. And one day it dawned on me, I said, well, maybe I should look at making our own formulas that are more in line with the things that I would like to see in our supplements. So like, for instance, our protein, we put sweet potato and beetroot in the protein, specifically because it helps with heart health and diabetes. And with the African-American community, that is something that, we typically face in terms of health disparities. So those particular adds to the protein and to the products and to our ingredients, were important to me. And, it really just kind of took off from there. I think that our customers tried our products and they worked for them. And so that is why the brand, was just so successful, because the products really work.
But did you, in other words, to make the products, obviously you have to hire specialists,
Yes.
Right? So did you bring in a partner or on funding wise?
Well, no funding. So initially I had about $5,000. I was a federal government employee, making 6 figures a year. And I had a little bit of savings, and I was like, my first order with my laboratory was $5,000. And the original order with my laboratory was actually what they call a white label order. So it wasn't like a designed formula that I necessarily came up with. It was something that they actually had at the laboratory already that was similar to what I wanted to do. And then once we did that first formula, I was like, well, let me see if I can bring another partner in to actually sit with the lab, sit with their chemist and say, like, these are the ingredients that we think we should take out, put in. So I actually was connected with a nutritionist. Her name is Dr. Ruby Lathan. which she actually was featured in What the Health. I'm not sure if you're familiar with What the Health. It was a pretty popular
Sure. Yeah.
Netflix series, and she cured herself of cancer in 2017 by going on a plant-based diet. So I was familiar with her, and she was in the DC area, and I reached out to her and asked her if she would help me to form my formulas for my supplements, and she agreed to. And that the rest is history.
But how long did it take? So in other words, you quit your job, and I guess at
Oh,
that
no,
time,
no, no,
oh, you
no.
still,
Okay,
so in other words, while you're working.
Yeah, so let me go through.
Right.
Okay. So no. So I was, building this supplement brand in 2017 and 2018, but I was still working full time.
Wow.
As a federal government employee. I used to work as an HR manager with the Department of Veteran Affairs.
Mm-hmm.
So the first year, our revenues, I want to say probably within our first year, we were like maybe $500,000 in revenues, which is pretty good for a first year in business. And I was still working full time for the federal government. And the reason I did so is because, obviously starting a new business, you never know how that's going to work. Like, yeah, we made $500,000 last year, but who knows what's going to happen this year?
Sure.
Who knows if this is going to really, stick or stay? And that's one thing that I stress to people. Like, if you don't have to leave your full-time job while you're starting a side business, don't do it. Because I feel like a lot of the moves that I made within my business, building my business, I was confident in making those moves because I still had like my job that would pay my bills. And it wasn't like if everything goes to crap, I'm going to be put out my house. Like, those weren't things that I had to think about because I was managing both. But I tell people, up until 2018, when I left my job, I was making, we were making 6 figures a month in revenues in the business for a whole year before I left my career. So, that also was a testament to me, the bootstrapping part of the business, because I don't have any investors.
That's an extremely important message. So it's 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, for example.
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing? In your case, 4 kids, right? So So what are you doing? Are you going to sit there and binge watch Netflix at night or on Sundays or Saturdays? Or are you, right, to your point, right? I'm sure on the weekends you're going to shopping malls or whatever it is and giving people, check this out, try this. Because if it's that grit. And I love that you said that. You said, in other words, that you kept your job, but you know what? It's important to me. This is my lifestyle. It means a lot to me, and that congruency, and then going ahead and doing whatever it takes. So that mindset was extremely important. So kudos,
it was extremely
kudos
important, and I feel like even today now, even though I've left my full-time job and have gone into focusing on my business 100%, and it has definitely grown from that. I still say to this day, like, when you got to start, just start. If you're working a job and you're starting small on the side, do that, because eventually you will get to a point where you'll say, okay, all right, it's time to make a decision. And I got to that point where I was able to make a confident decision. And that was a blessing in that. Right.
So in other words, you're a year of seeing basically that this is actually working, and you're seeing, and then you said basically you made the choice to leave the job. I guess that was the moment where you said, you know what, my chips are in, and I'm gonna go in for this.
Yeah, and that's the moment my gut sunk. Because that is when you're really in it, like really,
Right. And then even I think, in the beginning also to self-fund, right? That I always tell people, if you can do that rather than taking on a partner, it's complicated. You never know how that's going to go. As long as you don't have to take a partner, don't take a partner. If you can take loans from the bank is not your partner, it's a loan, better, right?
Absolutely. I tell people, I have a lot of friends who are also founders, of brands and businesses, and they have, venture capital investments and things like that. And, that's one thing that they stress, that, they got all this lump sum money, they get Series A funding, Series B, but they also don't have a lot of control of their brand and business anymore. So that's like the downside of that, right? So, that's something to consider.
Right. So that's easy. And I know there is, to your point, there is a lot of, I think Series A, even seed funding, even happens. You just have an idea, you have a management team, and you go to, right now they're funding. It could be $500,000, $1 million. But to your point, the devil's in the details because you don't have that control, and that's a tough. So you want to be able to express because your business is an expression of who you are. So for sure.
Yep, absolutely.
I want to ask you about how you leverage your vast social media following to help launch your business. But first, a reminder, this is Common Denominator. I'm Moshe Popak, and my guest today is Samia Gore, the founder and CEO of the hugely successful supplement company Body Complete RX. If you're enjoying this episode, please subscribe on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts, and we'd be grateful for any 5-star ratings. Plus, we'd love to hear from you. If you have feedback about the show, send us your comments on Twitter at @mpopak. Now, back to the show. I do know also that you have a large social media following. How did that happen?
So our brand following has grown organically over the years. I'm thankful, that we have such a large social media following. I feel that a lot of our influx and follows comes from our social media brand ambassadors. We have a lot of brand ambassadors that, share about our products and things like that. So that has definitely helped us grow exponentially into our social media following. But it's grown over the years. I think our page, we, set it up in 2017, and we've got about 250,000 followers around right now. So, and it's all about community. I think that, that's another thing. Like we try to make our brand social pages not like just about product, like we're trying to also support you in ways that, may help you laugh or, help you enjoy the process of actually going on this journey to get healthy because, sometimes it can be challenging, right? So building that community side, I think has been extremely important as well. So we do challenges and things that don't have anything to do with products. It's just about community.
And I love that for people trying to grow their social media. That's a very important point. Meaning it's not just about the brand. For people to feel a part of something, people want to feel emotionally connected.
They do,
right? And the invention of technology allows that. So I think that's really cool. Organically, to get 250,000 followers is a pretty big accomplishment. And
thank you.
Yeah.
And then also, for people who are interested in building brands and businesses, it's not work when it's something that you love. So when it's something that's actually like your lifestyle, like this is my lifestyle, I work out, I take supplements. This is what I do every day on a daily basis, just because this is the way that I live my life. So when you have a brand that you built around that, that too can be easier as well because you're really sharing just naturally. It's authentic.
Yeah. I got to tell you, now, right, it's 4 years in, $10 million in sales, right? Did you actually, so think back, and I always think back in my business, like to the beginning, Did you ever think that you'd get to this point?
Never. I mean, no. It was just something I was doing small. I'd never imagined being an entrepreneur. I do have a master's degree in business that I received in 2005. And again, I was working as an HR manager for the Veteran Affairs, but I never even wanted to or thought of myself as an entrepreneur, right? I've always thought of myself as this person, like you go to school, get your degree, you go work for a company and have a nice 401k, and that's life, right? So my ex-husband actually was an entrepreneur, and it's funny today, we're really good friends today, but then it was such a strain in our marriage because I couldn't understand the lifestyle that came with building a brand and building a business and what that looks like. And now today we laugh about it because he's like, oh, now you get it, right? It's a risk that you take. You're taking a risk, but the rewards are so great. They really are.
Right. And I think the ownership of paying that price, to your point, the risk, it's calculated risk. And I always say a good way is you write it down on a piece of paper. You write down pros and cons, right? And then you jump because nobody's going to jump for you, right?
Yes,
Right?
that's true. Nobody's coming to save you. You got to do it
Right?
yourself.
And to know there will be a pit in your stomach and it may last a month, a year, 2 years, 5 years. And that's fine. Right?
Yes, and that's fine. And
Yeah.
yes,
Right?
you get it.
That's the freedom. And if we can give more and more people freedom, that's a good thing. I assume there was, but was there ever any time that you felt like giving up?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I tell people sometimes to this day, I mean, I try not to because I don't like to speak things, into
Right.
existence. But, there were definitely times where I'm like, you know what? We're making millions of dollars this year, and I, could go back and be, making six figures, working as a federal government HR manager and be just fine. Because the stress that comes with building something like this, the stress that comes with being an entrepreneur, just in general, not even if you're building a large company or whatever, just being an entrepreneur in itself is stressful, right? There's a lot of family stress that comes with
Sure.
it, friends, it's a lot, right? So yes, there's absolutely been times that I've wanted to give up. Absolutely been times that I'm like, okay, I don't know if this is for me, but I know that what I'm doing is so special. I believe in my brand and business. Like I vocally have said that before. Like I'll just, I think, maybe this, just a couple more years. And people are like, no, like the people that you touch, the impact that your brand has is so much. So I keep that in the forefront of my mind
Right.
as, on those days that are challenging, those days that
Right.
I'm crying. It's like I keep that in the forefront of my mind. And actually, it's funny because I was telling a friend of mine, like she shared on social media the other day, like a video of her, a private video of her, like during a situation that none of us knew about. And she was building her business, but it was like something happened and she was crying and stuff. And I'm like, do you know how many videos I have in my phone of myself? Like I take videos of myself at those times because I like
Right.
to reflect. I like to go back and reflect, like, okay, I remember that moment, but I got through it.
That's
So
right.
I'm going to get through this moment too, whatever this moment is that's happening, because it's always something. But like I said, it's a hard thing. Like you said, it's grit. It takes a lot out of you, but it's super rewarding. It really is.
Right. And I think, leading into the new year or kind of where we are, what would be kind of a few tips for the listeners from your life experience if they wanted to now go ahead, they're working their job and they want to go ahead and launch their business?
Sure. One thing I would say again, like I said earlier, is just start wherever you're at. It doesn't have to be perfect. I have gone through 3 rebrand iterations and packaging over the past several years. And that's okay, right? Because it's all about getting your product out there. So whether it's a digital product or a physical product or whatever, if it's not, it doesn't have to be perfect. Just start. And if it's a good product, people will love it regardless of the way that it looks or the way that it's packaged. That would be, I guess, one thing that I would say. Um, and have fun. I would say
Right.
that too.
Yes.
Have fun on this journey, seriously, because there are days that, like I just explained, the days that are hard days or challenging days, but there's times that I look back on now and like, man, I spent that whole year in a fog,
Mm.
worried about what was going to happen next, right? And I had to get to a place where like, I can't worry about tomorrow or next
Right.
year or whatever. I have to operate in today and have fun with today and enjoy today, because that's going to weigh on me and that weighs on my team when my energy is not right. So I say, have fun in this experience, in this entrepreneurial journey. There's going to be hard days, but you never want to look back and be like, man, I wasted that whole year worried about something and it didn't even
Right.
come to fruition.
Be-
So that's what I would say.
I love that. And I think that's also super important is the being present and having fun with it. Right. If you're not having fun, then what are you doing? And the way to do that is to do what you love. Right.
Yes,
So I
that
see,
is the key.
I
That's
see
the
you're
key.
doing that. Right. I see you're doing that. And I want to thank you so much, Samaya, for joining us
Thank you
and
so much for having me.
for having the tips. And how could people find out more about you and to get their hands on some Body Complete RX?
Sure. Well, absolutely follow us on Instagram or Facebook, but Body Complete RX. You can find us at vitamin shops nationwide. So right around the corner, if you got a vitamin shop, go check us out. Ask for Body Complete RX. And you can find me, Samia Gore, on Instagram as well.
Thanks for listening to the Common Denominator podcast. Join us next week for another inspiring, impactful, and empowering conversation. To learn more about Moshe, head to moshepopak.com. If you enjoyed this episode, feel free to share it. And we'd be grateful if you could rate, review, and subscribe to the show.